Hare. Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Go, Nitai Go. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravajakacarya Astota Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charger His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Radha Kun Shama Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yaga Ki Jai. Brihad Mridanga Ki Jai. Gaura Pramanande, Hare Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Agyana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svāyambhuva Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Rata Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpata Rupyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukhaṁ karoti vācalam pangum langayate girim yatkripātamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. And today we are going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, entitled Scheduled Incarnations. And today we are going to study verse 2. Let's read the Sanskrit shloka together. Jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña. ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām. loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur. Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña. ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām. loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur. Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña. ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām. loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur. Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña. ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām. loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnuḥ. Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña. ākūti ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. Vaishnavis, jāto rucer ajanayat suyamān suyajña ākūti-sūnur amarān atha dakṣiṇāyām loka-trayasya mahatīm aharad ākūti-sūnur Svāyambhuvena manunā harir anūktaḥ. Word for word. Jātaḥ was born, ruceḥ, of the wife of Prajāpati. Ajanayat gave birth. Suyamān, headed by Suyama. Suyajñaḥ, Suyajña, ākūti-sūnuḥ, of the son of Ākūti. Amarān, the demigods. Atha, thus, dakṣiṇāyām, unto the wife of the name Dakṣiṇā. Loka, the planetary systems. Trayasya, of the three. Mahatīm, very great. Aharad, diminished. Yat, all those. Ārtiṁ, distresses. Svāyambhuvena, by the Manu named Svāyambhuva. Manunā, by the father of mankind. Harihi, harir, iti, thus, anūktaḥ, named. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Prajāpati first begot Suyajña in the womb of his wife Ākūti, and then Suyajña begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakṣiṇā. Suyajña, as the Indradev, diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Harir by the great father of mankind, namely Svāyambhuva Manu. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In order to guard against the invention of unauthorized incarnations of God by the fanciful, less intelligent persons, the name of the father of the bona fide incarnation is also mentioned in the authorized revealed scriptures. No one, therefore, can be accepted as an incarnation of the Lord if his father's name, as well as the name of the village or place in which he appears, is not mentioned by the authorized scriptures. In the Bhagavad Purana, the name of the Kalki incarnation, which is to take place in almost 400,000 years, is mentioned along with the name of his father and the name of the village in which he will appear. A suyamān, therefore, does not accept any cheap edition of an incarnation without reference to the authorized scriptures. Please repeat the verse translation after me. The Prajāpati first begot Suyajña in the womb of his wife ākūti. And then Suyajña begot demigods, headed by Suyama, in the womb of his wife dakṣiṇā. Suyajña at the Indradeva diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate. And because he so diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called harir by the great father of mankind, namely Svāyambhuva Manu. Hare Krishna. So we can see some of the relationships here. In Lord Brahma's one day, there are 1,000 Divya Yogas, and then there are also 14 Manus, and each Manu reigns about 71 Divya Yogas. So here mentioned this Svāyambhuva Manu is the first Manu of this day of Lord Brahma. And now we are under the seventh Manu's ruling. His name is Vaivasvata Manu, and he is the son of sun god. And Svāyambhuva Manu and his wife, Queen Satarupa, they have 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. The 2 sons, the eldest son, his name is Priyavrata. He likes to become brahmachari, renunciate. He doesn't want to populate the world, so he refused to inherit the duty to rule the whole world. And so this duty falls on his younger brother, Uttanapada. And of course, we know Uttanapada is famous because he is the father of Dhruva Maharaj. And then there are 3 daughters. The first daughter is mentioned here. Her name is Ākūti. And the second daughter is Devahuti. And the third daughter is Prasuti. Ākūti married with Lord Brahma's son. Lord Brahma has many, many sons as Prajapatis. And it is said this son, his name was rucer, and he was born from Lord Brahma's mind. So here, they begot 2 children. And then, that is 1 son and 1 daughter. The son is Suyajña. Actually, the daughter is dakṣiṇā. But according to some other Puranas, like Garuda Purana, some other Purana, it is also mentioned that Lord Svāyambhuva Manu, he requested that because the daughter, Ākūti, he said, if you have a son, please you give it to me. So this son, Suyajña, actually he was adopted by Svāyambhuva Manu. But because they are Prajapatis, it doesn't matter. He married his own younger sister, dakṣiṇā. And there's Devahuti. Devahuti married Lord Brahma's another son, Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni, it is said he was born from the shadow of Lord Brahma. And then the third daughter, Prasuti, she married with Prajāpati Daksha. So this is about the lineage of their family history. Why I like to mention all this? to show that everything is authentic. Like if we read the scriptures, we can find exactly the Lord's family and the Lord's devotees' family. We can trace back the history, the family lineage of their whole family. Who is whose father, who married who, and then who is their son. And in Srimad Bhagavatam's original commentator, Sridhar Swami's commentary to this verse, he mentioned that this Suyajña incarnation of the Lord, he created all the demigods and he released the distresses of the world. So he created all the demigods. And also very interestingly, if we jump a little bit ahead, if we look at Canto 11, Chapter 5, verse 38, 39, and 40, these three verses are together. And in the purport, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, he also mentioned about this part. And we can understand, actually this is Suyajña. This is also mentioned in the previous chapter, Canto 11, Chapter 4. And it is also mentioned by Jiva Goswami. I just combine everything together for your information. And it is said that this Suyajña, he was later on became Indra. And also, usually we say there are 3 guna avatars. Like Lord Brahma, he's in charge of the mode of passion. And Lord Shiva, he's in charge of the mode of ignorance. And there's Lord Hari, and he is in charge of the mode of goodness. So Srila Jiva Goswami said that Hari is this Suyajña. And it's very interesting. In the translation, it is mentioned he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Svāyambhuva Manu. And Jiva Goswami also mentioned later in his commentary in the 11th canto that this Suyajña is not only a guna avatar, but he is also lila avatar. Why? Because he is doing the function of maintenance. He's maintaining the universe, upper, middle, lower, all these universes. And this is actually his pastime. So he's doing this not because he was confined by the mode of goodness, but he was doing this for his own lila, his own pastime. He's doing it, he's enjoying it. He has fun of doing this. So that's why he's not only a guna avatar, but also a lila avatar. And we can see in this purport, this is Srila Prabhupada's purport. It's very important point, very prominent point is we have to pay attention to who is a bona fide incarnation. And we should not be fooled by the false incarnations. And Srila Prabhupada especially pointed out to us, we have to see if someone claims that he is an incarnation of God, then he has to mention what is his father's name, mother's name, which village he was born or going to take birth. Everything must be very clear. So just like in this Kali Yuga, we have also a very famous incarnation. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually he's not only an incarnation, he's not an avatar. He's called Avatari because he is Lord Krishna himself. But about him, there are many predictions in different scriptures. And even in the 7th canto, Sri Prahlāda Maharaj, when he was offering prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, he mentioned, oh, Lord Nrsimhadev, actually, usually you would declare, okay, I am Yoga Avatar, I am this avatar, this, that avatar. I would declare to the people. So he said, you only declare, claim you are incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in 3 yugas. But in the last one, in Kali Yuga, you are a Chana avatar, you are a hidden avatar. So that's why you are famous as Tri Yuga. So we can see that even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Sri Prahlāda Maharaj, he already predicted the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also, of course, there are more evidence in Srimad Bhagavatam. like in the 11th canto. In the first few chapters, there is a dialogue. Narada Muni was instructing Vasudeva. But then inside the dialogue, there's another dialogue, because Narada Muni was quoting the dialogue between the Nava-Yugandhars to Maharaj Nimi. Maharaj Nimi, he was asking 9 questions. And as the 9 sons of Lord Ursabhadeva, the 9 Yugandhars are answering those questions one by one. So then we come back to the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, because we could see the clue. The thread is always there. About Lord's incarnation, clearly we can see at least 3 times. Prominently, it was mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, in the instructions from Nava-Yugandhara to Maharaj Nimi, they were talking about the Lord's incarnations. And here in the 2nd canto, we were discussing the Lord's incarnations. Actually, here, the title of this chapter is called Scheduled Incarnations. But in other editions, I believe on your mobile phone, sometimes we could see the title is mentioned as the functions of different incarnations of the Lord. It's especially mentioned about the functions. So this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the purpose is to reveal to us what is the relationship between the Supreme Lord and this material world. And yesterday, Hari Leela Prabhu excellently mentioned that he feels like this part of Srimad Bhagavatam is a very intimate relationship. It's like the dialogue between the loved and the beloved. Because the Lord, He has so many incarnations. And because of all these incarnations, that's why we are here today. Because yesterday, that verse is about Lord Varahadev. Because Lord Varahadev, he saved Mother Earth from the Garbhodaka ocean. And he picked it up and put it on his tusk and put Mother Earth back into her orbit. That's why today we can sit here. We can sit. We are supported by Mother Earth. So it's interesting. He feels like this is a very intimate dialogue between the loved and the beloved, the lover and the beloved, because this part actually reveals the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the material world. How the Supreme Lord relates to the material world through his different incarnations. And also, we look back at the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a very important verse, chapter 3 and verse 28. It is called Paribhasa Sutra. It is the emperor shloka, or one of the emperor shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ete chamsa kalapamsa, Krishna's tu Svāyambhuvam, Indrare vyakulam lokam mitayanti yuge yuge. Anyway, all these above-mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or part of the plenary portions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Supreme Lord is Krishna himself, and whenever there's a disturbance between the demigods and the demons, the Lord would incarnate himself. So in that verse, it is also mentioned the incarnations of the Lord. And at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is established that Sri Krishna himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the source of all the other incarnations. And then, of course, we understand later from the 2nd canto and from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam itself and from Srila Prabhupada's purports, we understand slowly that different incarnations has different functions and different incarnations has different moods. So someone cannot cheaply claim he or she is an incarnation of the Lord. I remember very interestingly, once His Holiness Japataka Swami Guru Maharaj was giving Chaitanya Leela class. He was talking about the different incarnations as different mood. So one time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he manifested the mood of Varahadev. And then what he did? He manifested the hoofs of Lord Varahadev. And at that time, Maharaj, he commented, he said, if someone claims he is incarnation, then you simply request him, please show your hoofs. Please let me see the hoofs of Lord Varahadev, then I believe you. And once, actually, in my past, more than 20 years of Krishna consciousness, I also came across many false incarnations. And one incarnation, the devotees, and we asked him, if you are an incarnation, can you show us your universal form? He said, what universal form? The universal form mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. What Bhagavad Gita? So you understand, it's not incarnation at all. And also, because I'm coming from an Oriental country, and I saw one time there's one lady, she said she's a bodhisattva, also one of the Buddhist saviors of the world. I said, if you are bodhisattva, you must be very capable, very powerful. Why your leg is problem? She cannot even walk nicely, she's limp. And then she said, oh, because I saved all the others, therefore I'm taking their bad karma and I become limp. I cannot walk properly. And she showed me, that actually there is one meeting, she showed me like maybe 20 of her followers, and they address each other as bodhisattva. Just like the Mayavadi sannyasis, they're greeting each other like, Namo Narayan, you are Narayan, I'm Narayan. So they're also like impersonalists. They greet each other, oh, bodhisattva, bodhisattva. And I can feel and I can see from their faces, they have that kind of smile with great satisfaction. So this is some kind of motivation that people, they would like to claim they are false incarnations. But then there's another famous one. I feel like it's like a classic story. There's one devotee, and she was a doctor. One day I asked her, how you become a devotee? She said, actually before I was following a false incarnation, and I give all my money to him. And he's not even eating. I observed him. For 3 days, he's not even eating anything. So I believed he's an incarnation. But then I realized he's not. Why? Because one day, he had a great toothache. And this doctor is a dentist. And then he requested her, please immediately stop my pain. And then she's trying her best to stop this her guru, her so-called, this incarnation guru's pain. And then at that time, it was so painful, it like cannot tolerate. And this incarnation is loudly crying, oh, Baba, Ma, Baba, Ma. And then this time, the doctor, she got some realizations. She said, at that moment, I realized, if he is a real incarnation, even if at least he is a pure devotee of Lord, at least he should shout out, oh, Krishna! But then why he's yelling, Baba, Ma? Because recently I spent 3.5 months in Calcutta in hospital, especially for almost more than 3 weeks. I visit ICU every day. I could hear all those people there screaming. Some very old men, old ladies, they're so sick, they forgot all their dignity. They simply call out loudly, screaming, Baba, Baba, Mama, and constantly crying. So, an incarnation is not so cheap. And Srila Prabhupada said, only those rascals would follow them. So here, we should understand, if we want to accept an incarnation, there at least some scriptural reference. And very interestingly, recently I came across a book written by one of the disciples of Bhakti-Vikas Maharaj. The book is named as A Divine Prophecy. Like His Holiness Japadaka Maharaj and Bhakti-Vikas Maharaj, even His Holiness Bhanu Swami, and some scholars from Sri Sampradaya, they all wrote some commentaries to this book. They recommend this book. And in this book, authored by Sridhar Srinivas Prabhu, he mentioned, actually in the Sri Vaishnava tradition, in their scriptures, they already predicted the advent of all the 5 members of Panchatattva. and also the Sankirtan movement in Kali Yuga, and the Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan, and the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, it is not only in our scriptures, there are prophecies of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like the verse I mentioned, Canto 11, Chapter 5, verse 38, 39, 40. And in the purport, BBT give a very elaborate purport. It is mentioned that, according to Jiva Goswami, in the Sanskrit shloka, there are two words, kvachit, kvachit. And Jiva Goswami, he said, by these two words, it indicates the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Gauradesh, in Nadia district. And also it implies the Harinam Sankirtan movement is going to become like a flood, inundate the whole world. The Sanskrit word kvachit, kvachit, word for word meaning is here and there, here and there. So simply, it means all over the world. So Mahaprabhu, he would advent himself in Kali Yuga, in this place called Gauradesh, Nadia district. And from this pivotal point, he's going to start his Sankirtan movement. And this Sankirtan movement is going to spread all over the world. And also we know it's very famous, another one of the members of Nava Yogendra, Karabajan Yogendra, he instructs Maharaj Nimi, Krishna Varnam, Trisha Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yagya Sankirtana Praye, Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. So this verse also predicts the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also said, those who have intelligence, they would worship the incarnation in Kali Yuga by this congregational chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And not only in our own scriptures, but also in the Sri Sampradaya scripture. I mentioned this book called A Divine Prophecy. It quoted very important 33 poems from 1 hour. So in South India, there are mainly Sri Sampradaya predominant, and they are worshipping Lord Vishnu. And as we know, Lord Vishnu has very, very prominent 12 hours. Like in our disciplic succession, we have 12 Mahajans, and they have 12 hours. And why they are called hours? Because they are deeply immersed themselves in the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu. And these 12 hours, they appeared at the end of Durpa Yoga or at the beginning of Kali Yoga. And all of them appeared mainly in South India, like Tamil Nadu, this area. And all of them, actually, they composed 4,000 poems. 4,000 poems glorifying Lord Vishnu. And among these 12 hours, there's a chief one. His name, or usually he is known as Sri, suddenly I forgot the name. I'm really sorry. Anyway, he is a partial incarnation of Sri Vishwaksena. And he wrote, among the 12 hours, they altogether contributed 4,000 Tamil language poems. Actually, Tamil language is one of the oldest languages in the world. And among these 4,000 poems, he alone wrote 1,296 poems. And among these 1,296 poems, there are especially 1,102 poems, very prominent. It's like a special collection glorifying the different devidations. Devidations is like the holy places that they worship Vishnu in those places. And these places are not only worshiping Lord Vishnu, but they are special because they are visited by one of the alvars, or maybe several of these alvars. So concerning about this, recently, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, he mentioned we should give special recognition to the original 108 temples established by Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya. So we should call like the Los Angeles Temple or Dallas Temple, especially personally established by Srila Prabhupada, and he installed the deities there. We should call them like Sripad Los Angeles, Sripad Dallas. So we should give some special recognition. So here, in Sri Sampradaya, they have this same tradition. They call those places as Divya Deshams. And so this, the chief Alvar, he wrote all these poems, and among these specially selected 1,102, there are more special selection of 33 shlokas. And those 33 shlokas, they're divided into 3 groups. 10 shloka as a group, and then there's addition of an extra one. And these 33 shlokas especially revealed the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva and the Harinam Sankirtan, the Yoga Dharma. It's very interesting. And also the author gave like the authenticity of his book in such a way that he mentioned this main Alvar, which place he took birth. So he was born at the dawn of Kali Yuga. Actually, all these poems were written 4,500 years ago. That means, all this written, some like 4,500 years ago, some like 5,000 years ago. So it's like a prophecy. And then this main Alvar, he took his birth in South India, in the southern Tamil Nadu area, in one river. The river's name also mentioned later in Srimad Bhagavatam and also Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Tamraparni. And he took birth on the banks of Tamraparni River, and the village is called Tirukurugu. And the village is also called as Alvar Tirunagari. And this Alvar is so interesting, and he has a special feature since his appearance. Since he was born in that place, he never left that place. Whole life he stayed in one place, in this near the bank of Tamraparni, and in this specific village called Tirukurugur, and it is also known as Alvar Tirunagari. And this place is 30 kilometers east of the present city, Tirunelveli. And since he was born also, and the whole life he remained in the place, in this village, there is an Adinath temple. It's a Vishnu temple. And in the temple courtyard, there is an old tamarind tree. So whole life he stayed in this Adinath temple's courtyard's tamarind tree place. Whole life he didn't move. And so we understand when we read so much detailed description about this avatar, this Alvar, and then so we feel like, yes, we can believe whatever this is description. This is true. And how someone could concoct such a thing? They have to calculate specific meters, specific rhythms, and among the 4,000 poems, you have to specially select this 1,296, and then from them you have to select especially 1,102, and especially select 33, and divided them into 3 groups, and 10 poems as a group, plus another extra poem to give blessings to the reciter of those poems. That is a special blessings from the Alvar who composed these poems. Therefore, we can see even in different sampradayas, if we nicely study this ontology of these 2 different traditions, we can find the similarities. If we want to believe something, then we have to think about about Guru, Sadhu, Sastra according to one standard. Otherwise, we should not believe. And in those areas, it is so interesting. Actually, everything is related. If you listen to His Holiness Banu Maharaj class, he's talking about how to chant a holy name, and behind the reason is quantum physics. He would say something's related, is eternally related. And we could see that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his appearance actually is predicted. And he went to South India. He gave special mercy to South Indians. Even something he didn't give in Navadvip. Even something he didn't give to people in Gaya. Because in South India, whoever he saw, he simply gave them pure love of Krishna. But it is not a coincidence. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, we could see those places, because of the existence of the rivers like Tamraparni and a few other rivers, so the people living there, drinking the water from these rivers, they would all be pure-hearted devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. It's not from me. If you check 11th canto's purport, and you could find all these things. And also, let us look back and forth. So at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, Srila Vyasadeva, Srila Prabhupada, they want to establish, we should understand the origin of all the incarnations, Lord Sri Krishna. And then we understand there are many different incarnations, and each one of them has a special function. Each one of them has a special mood. And at the end, up to 11th canto, why again mention all the avatars? So that is Shukadev's special mercy to Maharaj Parikshit. Now is at the end of the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And also Parikshit Maharaj, as we know, he was cursed. He only has 7 days left. So very soon he has to leave his body. And in order to help him to pass through this terrible curse, to help him to face his own disappearance, Shukadeva Goswami gave him a special mercy by reciting things related to the Lord's avatars, incarnations. Why? Because Shukadeva Goswami wants to give Parikshit Maharaj a backward glance. Now it's like we are going to have a forward glance. In the next shlokas, one by one, different incarnations would be described. What kind of function they are going to execute, what activities they are going to perform. But then at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is a backward glance towards the different incarnations of Lord. Why Shukadeva Goswami is going to do that? Because he wants to indicate to Parikshit Maharaj, you see, this is like a thumb up of all the incarnations. And now I give you the last summary, a backward look, a backward glance. So it implies the Lord is going to wind up his pastimes. He's going to leave. And my recitation is going to finish also very soon. So in this way, he wants Parikshit Maharaj to nicely prepare his departure from this world, make him more absorbed. So at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned whenever there's a description about the Lord's incarnations, actually it's the purpose to give us an inspiration in our hearts. So we could become more inspired by the Lord. We could always think something. So now we understand the whole history, the family relationships. And then maybe we have a thought, okay, I think this is not much related to me because in my life I nicely stay in the temple, maybe occasionally I go out for preaching. So there's no need for me to think about how to prevent me from being cheated by the false avatars. But not. You know why? When I was meditating how to give class on this verse, I got a realization. And I would be very happy to share my realization with all of you. It seems like not every one of us would have a chance to meet a bogus avatar. But Actually, knowingly or unknowingly, we are accepting false avatars on a daily basis. You don't believe me? I give you example. For example, we know the holy name in this Kali Yoga. This is avatar. This is Krishna's avatar, the holy name. So we already knew it, but then what is our attitude? As long as we have inattentive chanting, as long as we have offensive chanting, that means actually we don't want to accept Shuddhanam. We want to accept a false Nama avatar. We want to accept something cheap because it's more easy. I want to chant and at the same time I can hold another apsara near my ear. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, after I have 2 rounds left and then I will be coming. And then sometimes we will be doing so many other things and thinking, oh, there's still so many rounds. What shall I do? Anyway, chanting is better than not chanting at all. So sometimes we are purposely cheating ourselves. So if we think deep, this is a deep-rooted accepting false avatar in our minds. I don't know, maybe you are all exalted devotees who don't have this problem, but I feel how horrible it is. When I got this realization, I was thinking, how horrible it is. I'm not making conscious effort to nicely chant, to nicely study, and sometimes, occasionally, there's, even when you're browsing YouTube or like Facebook, suddenly some other things interesting coming up, and you indulge your mind, your eyes watch a little bit, you think it's not much, not big deal, and like little entertainment. But then, actually, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, if you still have interest in those mundane literatures, I don't know, maybe we can also call this mobile stuff as mundane literatures. This mundane videos, mundane sounds, mundane presentations from the mundane minds. We can call them also as mundane literatures. And then, according to Srila Vyasadeva, according to Srila Prabhupada, actually we are like visiting the prostitutes, either men or women. We're like doing some business with the prostitutes. And then, when I realize this, I feel like shocked, horrible. It's not only on the street or during the process of preaching I can face these avatars and I have to take caution. Don't be cheated by those rascals. But actually, myself, I'm such in a pitiable condition. I'm cheating myself every day by not making conscious efforts to worship Shuddhanam, this holy name, Krishna's incarnation in the Kali Yuga. I'm not making conscious efforts to put my mind, all my energy, like whenever I have a time, I should read Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever I feel distressed, whenever I feel just some situations intolerable, which place I'm going to take resort to? Some internet, some making myself relax, or maybe going for shopping and talking Prajāpati? No, that time we should really think it's time to take shelter of the real avatar of the Lord, not indulge in our minds. Hare Krishna, thank you for your attention. Maybe one quick question. Yes, Prabhuji.
It is both. Question what I have. First
Yes.
is you stand out to represent your practice teacher's cause. This lecture you gave today, I appreciate it. And number 2, the ending of your class, just what you said last, that when we are in distress, we want to patronize the mobile phone, some gadgets to relieve ourselves. But here in the text, it says that Suyajña, he diminished very
Thank you for your comments. Yes. Actually, the Lord, the Supreme Lord, He would destroy all the inauspicious things from all the living entities. It doesn't matter the living entities moving or non-moving. Stira chara vijnagana susmrta. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, actually in the 10th canto, in the last chapter, 90th chapter, the 48th verse, it is also mentioned like that. Stira chara vijnagana. He would destroy all the inauspicious things for all the living entities, either moving or non-moving. Hare Krishna. So now let's go for darshan. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.